Hello, my name is Chris Walker, Vice President of Freedom One's Investment Research Department, and welcome to our second installment of our series, the 8-Minute Update. This installment is to provide you insight into Freedom One's mutual fund review process. Freedom One's primary investment responsibilities are to properly allocate your portfolio relative to an appropriate risk level and to select and monitor the best mutual funds available. The monitoring process of one of our current mutual funds is the focus of this 8-minute update. When selecting the best mutual funds to invest in, Freedom One will research a fund's management team, investment philosophy, stability, and performance history. Many of the tools we'll utilize are statistical screenings, written questionnaires, conference calls, and on-site visits. After a fund has been selected and invested in, our responsibilities are far from done. We continuously monitor and evaluate all of the funds owned in your portfolio. Occasionally, a fund's performance or other issues will give us reason for concern. When the fund fails to meet our standards, it is placed on our watch list. When a fund finds itself under the Freedom One's watch list, we execute a detailed game plan on how to determine how to best respond to our concerns. There are very specific issues that can place a fund on Freedom One's watch list: disappointing short-term performance, disappointing long-term performance, changes in corporate structure, loss or change of key personnel, or a change or lack of adherence to an investment style. When we find it necessary to place a fund on our watch list, we also have very specific actions in which we follow. We start with a ground-up, complete fund review. We contact and meet with fund management to express our concerns. We establish a detailed plan for improvement on ways to address our concerns. We establish a timetable and criteria for monitoring the improvement. And finally, we very closely monitor and measure the progress of a fund relative to our concerns. All of these actions aid us in determining on what proper outlook and what future we will hold for that investment. We will determine whether it's appropriate to hold a fund and continue to monitor the progress relative to our criteria, possibly reduce our allocation to a fund, thus decreasing our overall exposure, or should a fund lack progress towards resolving our concerns, we may sell the fund. One of the bond mutual funds we own in most portfolios is the Loomis Sayles Bond Institutional Fund. Loomis Sayles, established in 1926, is run by Dan Foss, one of the most experienced and well-respected portfolio managers in the industry. Loomis's disciplined investment process for managing a diversified portfolio of multiple types of bonds has provided very impressive and consistent returns over the years. This is a fund that we thoroughly researched and became confident in using in the appropriate portfolios. However, as with any of our funds, this confidence must be continuously earned. As a result of very disappointing third quarter performance of down 13%, we added Loomis Sayles Bond Institutional Fund to our watch list. After years of very impressive and consistent investment returns, during September of 2008, the value of Loomis Fund fell a greater degree than we were comfortable with. Although Loomis Sayles was a relatively small portion of the 4 different mutual bond funds we held, and we recognized Loomis as the more aggressive component of our bond mutual fund selection, this poor short-term performance necessitated placing Loomis Sayles on our watch list. Consistent with our investment discipline, we fully researched the fund and had asked and answered numerous questions, held special investment committee meetings, had face-to-face meetings with fund representatives to determine our watch list review findings. Our conclusions reaffirmed our confidence in a very strong company and management team of Loomis Sayles. However, we also concluded the poor performance was due in part to the freeze of the credit markets, the general fall of bond market prices during the third quarter, a negative effect of a strong U.S. dollar, and Loomis Sayles' relatively low allocation to U.S. Treasury bonds. After researching the portfolio's quality and weightings, and considering the current yield of over 11%, we concluded that although the fund remains on our watch list, we reaffirmed our positive outlook for Loomis Sayles. As a result of this research, during our year-end rebalancing, we elected to reduce our overall allocation and limit our risk and exposure to the Loomis Sayles Fund. We also determined the appropriate items that we will monitor, which would be the overall health of the credit and bond markets, yields on corporate bonds, and, of course, any internal fund activity. We have and will continue to closely monitor all aspects of the Loomis Sayles Fund. However, the bottom line for any fund holding is, of course, performance. the Loomis Sales Fund has and will continue to get more volatile returns than other more conservative bond holdings in the portfolios. However, although still on the watch list, the Loomis Fund has been showing signs of recovery and over the past 3 months has improved in absolute and relative performance and is now demonstrated as one of the top performing bond mutual funds. In summary, Freedom One continues to research and select the best mutual funds available. However, as we all know, not all funds will perform as planned, and we recognize the need to follow a consistent and disciplined review process. We must also understand that with any investment there will be decisions to be made, and the appropriate answer is not always to instantly sell. In order to achieve long-term performance goals, discipline, patience, and experienced judgment are necessary. Freedom One's experienced staff of research analysts employ a proven process that has provided stability for the long-term performance. Our resources give us access to the very best funds and fund managers in the industry. Our disciplined fund evaluation and review process monitor fund performance and management progress. These are the elements that long-term will provide results necessary to meet your investment goals. Thank you again for spending your time and providing us the opportunity to further update you on our outlook on the investment markets. Our theme of protecting the present while preparing for the recovery remains in place. The stock market thus far in March has been showing encouraging signs and has rebounded off its recent lows. With all of the continuing major issues that face our current economy, we are not yet comfortable in calling the end to the current bear market. However, during the next 8-minute update on April 9th, we will discuss seeking signs of recovery. This current bear market will end, and we will prepare your portfolio to participate. Finally, I would sincerely appreciate if you could take a few moments to complete the attached survey. This will provide us feedback on the 8-minute update and give us ideas on any future topics. Thank you again, and I look forward to meeting with you on our next 8-minute update.